All right, good evening, everybody. It is we're back. I'm the PodBrother, and I'm with a couple of other brothers. It's a brother show. It's brothers on brothers. It's the Three Musker Brothers show, and we about to chop it up. We're going to get silly. We're going to be funny. We're going to be provocative. We're going to talk pretty much any and everything that's provocative. We're going to promote racism. So we can. This is the three brother musketeer racism show, and we want to promote racism because we want to get the uncomfortable dialogue started with all you and our fans and people out there. The only way to fix it is to promote it.
That's it.
And I got that from D-Rod, who happens to be on the show, and I got Chris Pleasant. We're all three comics, and we're all three. Funny and intelligent, and we're activists, and so it's
who you calling intelligent? I'm smart.
There we go.
Smart.
He's smart like that.
Smart.
I'm smart.
SMOT.
SMOT. Smart.
That was smart. Highly educated. I'm smart.
I know what you're talking about, this intellectual bullshit. But I'm smarts over here.
Call me intelligent. Shit. You know what happened to the last mother call me intelligent?
They're fighting words, yo. Oh, man. You know, it's that time of day where I can sport my sunglasses because that sun is in my eyes.
We're losing it.
Yeah. It's about to go down. We're about to witness a beautiful sunset right now. I don't know if I can swing the camera around and maybe show it to you. Maybe not. Gentlemen. Who you calling a gentleman? Welcome to the PodBrother show. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, we are in Sherman Oaks right now in the hills. I got my buddy Santa Bob hooked me up with his poolside so I could do the PodBrother Poolside podcast.
I thought this was the place.
I was about to say, man, who you are? How you get that out?
I hijacked the house for a podcast.
We got a whisper.
Yo, keep it down, man, because I don't have the keys for this month.
This is a beautiful view, man.
It is, and I got invited to a pool party here by a cat named Matt, and big shout out to Matt. Thanks for introducing me to Bob and getting us hooked up, and big ups to Bob for letting me use his crib to do this. He's a super cool dude. So let's just jump right in there. First of all, since Chris is here, and he used to be on the Playboy channel, and Hugh Hefner, he just went off into like Bunnyland. I think.
Wait, what happened to Hugh? In Bunnyland.
You didn't get the memo, man. Hugh done passed on. And
he finally laid
I didn't know that. When was this?
This was like yesterday, man. 2 days
Hugh
ago.
Hefner died.
Hugh Hefner died.
That's new to me, man.
Oh, come on, man. You was on the show for 5 years.
Shit, he didn't have my number. He wasn't calling me. He didn't call me and say, Chris, I'm getting ready to die. I just want to let you know I'm out.
I just wanted, in case you hear something, I just want to give you my last outs.
Yeah, no, I did not know. Wow. Well, I mean, shit. Well, I hate it for the brother, but the shit, it's about time. I mean,
he was 92 years old.
92,
93 or something
right?
like that.
And you popping Viagra like you popping Viagra. The way you say
you haven't have been dead. That nigga been dead for a couple years. He been dead about 10 years. It's just that Viagra kept him walking around.
Oh, by the way, we're boycotting the N-Word.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, that's. I want to get into that later.
No, who is?
Yeah, no, it's a movement, man. It's a progressive movement to boycott the N-Word.
Man, I don't know about y'all, but I got, man, if I get comfortable, man, I won't say it on the show.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about it a little bit later,
yeah,
because there's a definite movement that's happening. I want to get a T-shirt that says "Boycott the N-Word," and then you two can stand next to me with arrows going, "Neil, please." So yeah, man, Hugh Hefner, man. So
wow,
you was on the show, and You was on there for like 5 years, man. How'd you get that gig?
I used to hang out at this little place in in West Hollywood. It was a cigar shop, and met a dude there, and he used to work for him. He used to, he was a PA there, and there was another guy that hung out at the cigar shop. He was a line producer for a couple of the shows there, and I told him I needed a job, and they was like, "Come in, man. We'll let you." You can start out as a PA. So I basically I did this shit maybe one day. I watched the dildo, and I was like, you know what? I don't know if this is quite the job for me. I was like, y'all got something else for me to do? I didn't really say that, but I
kept on washing that dildo.
I kind of made my way. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna find something else to do. I'm gonna build something. So
you could be mopping DNA off the bathroom floor in the guest room.
So I was like, man,
he was a cork soaker.
I didn't do that. There was certain things.
Soaked all the corks.
All the corks.
That's funny. No, I did not allow this to go too far. So anyway, they had a show that was kind of similar to like the Tonight Show, I guess, and but it was with like naked women. And
yeah, I watched it. I watched it every day, man. That's how Yeah, that's how I knew you was on it for 5 years, because I watched it for 5 years.
Sex in the City and all of that.
Yeah, all that.
Okay,
yeah.
So it was one day Too Short was supposed to perform on the show, and he didn't show up, but they knew that I did stand-up. So they said, well, do you mind, can you do some time? And I was like, yeah. So when I did that, they were like, all right. They saw that I had other skills other than,
washing dildo and soaking corks.
Cork soaking dildo washing funny ass dude.
Hey man, motherfucker got to start out somewhere. You know what I mean? Shit. Hey, people always talk about what I did for the little time, but let me explain to you something.
He soaked Hugh Hefner's cork.
It was Playboy TV. I was nowhere near Hugh. So anyway, once I did that, then they kind of saw that I had other things I could do, and so they put me out. They had me do like a man on the street thing. Like I got a chance to go out on the Venice Beach, and I would interview people, ask them dumb questions about sex, whatever, if somebody's titties was real, if they wasn't, that kind of thing, and it was a fun thing. And then they actually had some writers on some other shows that ended up creating a show, and they asked me to be on that. So yeah, it was a nice maybe month and a half corkscrew period, and then the rest of the 5 years it was good.
Yeah, because you did the bartender for the actual stand-up show.
Yeah,
and they would cut to you every once in a while for.
And I had something crazy to say.
Yeah,
they asked me something dumb. Let a girl come put a. Yeah, that was the most interesting thing about it. Is that like I worked for Playboy TV. I was constantly at a strip club. You know what I mean? And I didn't have to give away no money. You know what I mean?
You wasn't raining on nobody. Playboy was raining on you.
Right.
Did they pay you in ones? Did they? Here you go, Chris. Nice work, baby. Make it rain.
No, it was cool though, and hey man, I don't know anybody. And I had a friend of mine that actually he came out here one time, and his wife told me, because I took him on a tour. His wife called me and told me, "Don't you ever take my husband there again."
I never thought to do that, man. I never thought to call you and see if I could work out a tour.
I know you didn't. You think to call me for some things. You don't think to call me for everything. I know. That's all right.
Well, at least you're in my Rolodex.
Yes, you are.
You're in my thoughts. So I always like to keep you like in one of my cycles.
I know.
Now, did Did that help you as far as getting other gigs, or did it hurt you, or
Not really. What it did was actually, because before I was actually working at Playboy, I used to do some skits and stuff for like the Best Damn Sports Show period.
Mhm.
And so I kind of figured out how to act in front of a camera, I guess. And it kind of, that helped Playboy. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I was on a show that lasted for like 6 months. It's one season, but it was like we did 13 episodes. It was a show called Canoga Park, which was on Playboy, which was cool because it was kind of like a Reno 911 show. And but it was it was interesting because it was about these people that graduated. This one guy graduated college and he was trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his life, so he decided to open up his own production company. Well, the production company was known for making like horrible porno movies. And this was the show. And so my part was I worked for the production company. I was the sound man. So they make these shows called like James Bondage and it was actually funny. And somebody was supposed to pick it up, they didn't pick it up. You know how Hollywood was.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. And Playboy said, "We'll take it and we'll fuck it all up."
So close, man. You were so damn close.
Yeah.
Oh, so now was there any kind of like racial tension in the house? Did you, or was there like lanes for everybody in at the Playboy house?
I don't
He
know.
wasn't allowed in the house.
I didn't go to the house. I don't know. I had no association.
In the clubhouse. He was in the.
I had no association. I had no association with the mansion. I tell you what, though, if I'd have showed up at that bitch, they'd have let me in. I'd have got in.
Oh man!
But I've never been to the mansion.
No.
I was up to man.
You never like really wanted to go, or just like
it was all right, man. I got enough from work. Yeah, I mean, I didn't need to see that. Looking at these old white man sweating and shit, slobbering over these hot 12-year-old girl. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah, and I wasn't really interested, really.
No.
In
Did
the
any of
women?
them try to come up to you and like flirt and throw some mac on you, or they were strictly just like into the whole kind of?
That I can't talk about. No,
You plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth.
Okay.
No,
I understand.
yeah, no.
Put that big old ring on his finger. You damn right he gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gotta keep that
that's
on
here
there.
too.
Yeah. Okay. You got the ring.
But ain't nothing happening in my life my wife don't know nothing about. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's because you got a healthy relationship. It's cool like that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
We're good.
Okay. Oh, so D-Rod, what's going on in the world today, man?
Man, this whole thing. We get up every day and we see what this person that was elected to be a president. Just kind of screwing up the country right through here, man, and it's a sad thing. So that's that I'm seeing that. That's what's going on in the country, man. This racism stuff. But I'm glad actually that it's finally come out because it's been here. Like I was saying earlier, I believe that Obama opened the door for the racism and Trump came in and everybody's coming out.
Pulled them out. He made them proud to be racist.
He made them proud to be.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute. There's a backlash to that. We're now outed.
They don't even care nothing about the backlash. That's the scary part.
Well, they don't care because they feel that they will never lose power, and they'll never lose that racial influence.
Well,
they're bold, but
You know
what's
what?
happening is that's slowly but surely getting chipped away.
exactly. That was going to be my
It's
comment.
getting chipped. So that boldness and that proudness, because you have this sense of this racial power will never evaporate, never dissolve, will never disappear, is slowly but surely starting to. And
I agree.
I think in our lifetime, we're going to see a serious dismantling of racism in our systematic systems, which is where we need to start like ASAP.
And that's why that this was important. That's why, everything happens for a reason, and that's why it's important. We needed a Trump. We needed a Trump to root all this stuff out and bring it out, because it's always been there. So now, we've even got, what we needed is for some good white people to join the team and realize and stand with us. And that's what's happening, because they're actually seeing what their ancestors did. And by the way, I think, some people won't agree with me, but, a lot of people talk about, Black History Month and, why they have Black History Month. But quite frankly, I think that there should be a White History Month. I think that there should be a White History Month every January. It should be, how they call the January white sale and stuff. I think every January there should be a White History Month and show all the history every day, everything.
In 1 month? I don't know if they can get through it all in 1 month.
Just dedicate CNN, dedicate all the reels that they can find and teach these white folks about the history, about their history.
They know.
No, they don't.
No,
that's the
no.
problem. They don't know their history. They don't know.
They don't know. You
That's
got the new
part of the
millennials. They don't know. They don't know.
All they know is they stepped into a nice, cushy, privileged system.
And they think that the movie that they watching, or the Amistad or whatever the latest was, the Django, they looking at that, and then they at the end of the movie they feel uncomfortable, but they gone and they dismiss it because it's
a movie.
Theater. It's a movie.
It's a movie. It's not real.
You know what I mean? So I think that I totally agree, because obviously having a Black History Month don't make a whole lot of all the black people change some of their habits. You know what I'm saying?
It just show white people that black people have done well for themselves.
Some, exactly.
But it don't show.
Have a White History Month.
Yeah, but if you look back at if you were to have a White History Month and show the history of when there were times and periods where black people did very well. And even right out of slavery, there was a black bank right across the street from the White House that accrued $57 million, all slave money. And nobody knows about that. Nobody knows. And they recruited Frederick Douglass to help run the bank after the Depression in 1929, when all the banks crashed, and it was the same thing. There was a run on the money on that black bank, and that ended up like crashing. But it did very, 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 very well, and nobody knows about it. And there are all kinds of like periods, like the Oklahoma the Tulsa massacre, when you had these wealthy black professionals that worked the stock market and accrued this wealth and were slaughtered because the whole Jim Crow thing. And there has been some serious moments where there has been some major movements. And you sent me a video about the Star Spangled Banner and the original lyrics that was saying how there were slaves that were recruited by the British to fight against the Americans during the 1814 war, where the United States tried to take over Canada, and the British were way smart, and they recruited over 6,000 slaves, promised them freedom, and they ended up overrunning Washington. And the only thing American standing was the flag, but that town and everything was overrun. And America lost that war because of that battle. But because the flag was the last thing standing, they did the national anthem. But the lyrics were about how the slaves who fought for the British, and the British promised them their freedom, that anthem was triumphing over those black slaves. So there are slaves in the national anthem, but they cut it out because that's in verse 2. So we only sing verse 1.
And why is like the most peaceful posture, okay, that any human could have is on their knees. And suddenly that is, they call it the most disrespectful. I mean, we grew up with our grandmothers on their knees praying, right? And so suddenly a brother takes a knee and it's disrespectful to, you know, to the flag, to
because that is the spin that they put on it. That's the narrative they want to change, because it's so uncomfortable to recognize that you are contributing to the problem, to where you don't want to shine any light on that. So the only way that you can have a place of pride in the debate is to flip it as if kneeling is a disrespectful thing, and the disrespect is against the flag and against patriotism and your country and people who served in the military and died.
This whole message has been lost. Trump has just completely.
But that's by design, though.
Exactly.
We have to bring in the narrative back to the original, you know.
But is there anybody really at games like really? Well, you know, I think the Cowboy game, somebody booed because of what they did. But was they booing because they actually stood up for the anthem, or were they booing because they knelt before the anthem?
I don't really know why the hell they booing now. They just
Arizona, I heard, isn't that a Republican? That's a Republican state, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where McCain is from.
I don't know. I just think that the message has been lost, and I think somehow, we got to get it back.
Well, this is why
it's coming back. Like the dialogue is coming back. Like, you know, the smart, progressive football players and, you know, it's the progressive black professionals of influence are wheeling the narrative back to what it originally is. The peaceful protest was for, and they're still trying to like spin it, but the spin is wearing down. Like, the spin is no longer working, because more and more white people are starting to understand exactly what the deal is. And it is very, very clear. It's very, very obvious. You can't even be subtle about where you stand, because we're so sophisticated in recognizing racism in its most finite presentation, to where even white people recognize that they can't be super covert on racism, because we recognize that as well. So it's better to just be on the right side and no longer be silent, and no longer be like, okay, I know there's a problem, but I'm not going to say or do anything about it because I don't want to rock the boat. Those days are numbered now. And my grandfather used to say, you know, white people started racism, white people are going to be the ones to end it. And there's a lot of truth in that that's happening right now, which is why there's this progressive movement to boycott the N-Word, because the N-Word is a very powerful word, originated around insult and hate and demeaning, and it can no longer be used as a term of endearment, because it's associated with so much division and hate.
And it's a sad thing too, man, because when I think about it, you know, like everybody else, you know, has a name for, you know, their race, and I kind of thought, like, you know, Negro would have been cool, you know, it's like being called a Negro, you know what I'm saying? That it gives you a home, you know, and then nigga for short. But I'm saying, I mean,
but it's two different words. Negro,
right? But they made it bad.
It's three different if you want to think about it, because it's the way that they say it, is the way that we say it, and then there's the way.
Yeah, but the way they say it is intended to instill conscious and subconscious inferiority to them.
Exactly.
That's the only purpose it serves.
Right.
And then when we take that word and say and own it, we're doing all the work for them, because as long as it's perpetuating in our own culture, in our own lives, then they can sit back and be like, not only did the psychology work, But now the reverse psychology works because they're owning the word. They think it's their word. And Africans did not originate that word and say, oh, this means that we love each other. This is a term of endearment. And then white slave owners heard it and then flipped it into like a negative thing. And then all of a sudden we're taking it back. So when I hear, black people say, oh, it's our word we're taking back. Well, don't you have to create and design and originate the word from the beginning? Don't you have to own it and lose it in order to take it back? It never was yours to take back. So the fact that you're owning a word that represents hate on your own people, specifically designed to insult you by another race, is reverse psychology to the full degree, and we don't even know it because we've been so locked out of the dinner table that we're reaching for any microscopic piece of power because we have no power, so we think. But think about this. What if every black person in America all of a sudden stopped using the N-word? I think white people would totally go, oh snap. It's not in lyrics. It's not in the film. They're not using it. It's not on the train. They're not using it for each other. Like something's going on and we need to figure out what that is. I mean, if you could imagine, we all stopped using the N-word in any form and shape.
Well, I think you need to come talk to my grandmama because she still use it.
But I tell you what, man, if I sat with your grandmother and I gave her this debate, I guarantee you she probably would.
A lot of older folks brought a lot of stuff that I don't agree with from back in the day. I mean, them whippings that we talk about that our parents gave us, that was inherited from the slave day. At least the whippings I got from my mama. Because when I was uncomfortable, watching Amistad and watching the Django, when they started getting whipped, because it reminded me of some whippings that I got, and I was I was getting whipped, and I didn't deserve no whippings like I was getting.
I think we all got those.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, where was that inherited? When you think about it, it was inherited because their parents, I'm sure my granddaddy saw the slave, or maybe his daddy was a slave. You see what I'm saying? So this is what was taught. Right. Getting beat just because you didn't finish all your food. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's some slave type. That's some slave type beating, man.
That is.
That was supposed to be time out. I'm not supposed to be.
It's food. It's food. Yeah. It's just food.
You ain't supposed to be getting whipped all across the back and everything.
At least maybe eat at the bar.
But I mean, so I'm saying that to say, when you bringing up your grandmother, still using, a lot of times they haven't. This is what they were taught.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Let me ask you one question first before you, because we're talking about this right now. But I'm gonna ask you a question. Speak truthfully. When you leave here today, are you going to use that word sometime tonight before midnight?
No, I'm not. I haven't.
I know you probably
I haven't used it in a long time. And this was before even there was a progressive movement to boycott it. Once I heard about that, then I'm oh, I'm definitely on that one.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not.
It depends on who you talk to on the phone.
Well,
or who you come across.
Yeah, I'm not loose with it. You know what I'm saying?
But it's still new. I mean, the movement is only since Trump has been in office.
To me, you know what I mean? So
it's once it catches on and there's more dialogue. Once it pops up on the news, and there's some dialogue about it, and some news channel carries it and starts talking about it, and more people get involved, white and black, then it's on everyone's radar. Then now anybody who uses it, it's going to be a very effective thing to not use it.
I see your point.
Because it's used so often to where white people can come up to me and use it as if we're friends forever and not even feel that that's offensive to me, or not even ask or check to see that that's offensive. The fact
I
that
don't know no white people to come up to me and say that shit.
Well,
I know something cool enough that I wouldn't if they said something. But if they said it in a way that we talk to each other, then it'd be different. But if they said it in a way where I felt like, oh, this is
but you have a persona of black intimidation. You have a persona of black intimidation. But because my personality is so open and friendly, and I'm over the top to be like super nice.
That's because we dark. we dark.
Cause y'all dark Negroes. There's some intimidation.
I know. Yeah.
Snipes over
But what happens is, it's like I have so
Michael
many.
Blackson.
I have so many white people will drop the N in like quotes in regular conversation because they just assume that I'm so cool that it's okay for them to say it without even checking. And I find that very interesting that you would be that comfortable to just casually throw out a word that powerful.
Well, what if he asked you?
Here's the deal. When I used to drive limos, okay, and you have a white party in the back playing black music and singing along.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so they got to the part where they got to say the N-word. They got to sing it.
But that's part of why those songs are made in the first place, because somebody, and it probably wasn't a black dude, it was probably like some white record executive that's like, wait a minute, there's a lot of white people that will buy rap if the N-word's in it, and they'll sing it.
So that's
and
why I agree with you.
And we can sell some serious, and then they have this license because they're like, hey, we're not saying it. We're just singing the lyrics from a song that we like.
And
but
that
the
was
only
their
reason they
pass.
bought the song is so that they could sing the N-word. And if it's that,
and then look at you like I said it.
yeah, exactly. Now, what's that mean? So, I mean, subconsciously and psychologically.
Hey, nigga.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Right. So I think there needs to be. I think boycotting the N-word.
Since it's not boycotted everywhere, we can. Still
you find pockets.
We can find.
You can find N-word pockets where N-word was N-friendly.
It just seems so strange, man, for somebody to even just say the N-word. Don't say that. I don't even like, because when people say it, it was reported that so-and-so called somebody the N-word. I mean, come on, man. We know what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Yes,
you know what you're not saying, dog.
Yeah. But that's better than saying it.
I see your point.
That's better than saying
it. But it's all working towards a positive.
Why can't you say just disrespectfully call somebody
because the fact that
you have to say that's what they called them. They called them.
Because the fact that it's an audio trigger to perpetuate racism is why boycotting it would be effective in ending racism. Because let me put it to you this way: the Jim Crows aren't bright enough to know that you're using it to entertain. To them, you're using it as a validation of self-inferiority to their superiority.
Nice way to explain it.
So why would I give you the satisfaction of that? I wouldn't. Your reverse psychology in me owning a word that you put on me as an insult so you can feel superior in the songs that I sing it to make money so that other Jim Crows can sing it and feel superior to me and then sing it and look me in the eye like, that's right, I said it. That to me is one of the microscopic details of dismantling racism in this country. Is one of the 50 places we can start, and it's going to be a collective. It's going to be all of us chipping at the iceberg, in under the water, on top, on the sides, this iceberg of racism. And if boycotting the N-word is one of those ways of dismantling.
And it's such a minute area, and it's easy.
It's easy.
It's minute.
It's minute, but it's powerful. It's a very powerful thing.
You think you can get rappers to not say that?
I think if you get enough rappers to understand.
It's very
the
difficult
message?
now because I saw arguments between 2-3 white dudes, and they was calling each other the N-word. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It may be kind of hard right now.
What they saying? Hey, you the N-word. No, you the N-word. What was they calling each other?
No, they was calling each other nigga.
Yeah,
Right.
but get it. But check this out. If no black people are using it, and these two fools are doing it, that is going to be awkward. That is going to be weird. The only reason that they use it with that kind of impunity is because they feel that they are empowered, because black people feel that they are empowered using it, and they want to associate with that black power. So if you're white and you want to have black power association, what's the one thing you're going to go to? It's not money, it's not politics, it's the N-word is the only thing where you feel you have black power. And if you're a white dude and you run in a pool of brothers who use it and they give you the green light to use it and you use it, you're going to feel like you have black power. But it's a false sense of power. It's not true power. It's reverse psychology power. And you're actually powerless.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely in favor of anything.
Boycotting.
Well, the term boycotting doesn't really do anything for me. However, the movement, to be more conscious about it, and the reason behind it, I'm definitely with that.
Yeah, well, whatever you want to call it, or whatever, whatever
it's
adjective
kinda,
you want to use. But there's a movement.
Well, yeah, and the movement has to be, and this is having a podcast talking about it. That's a major start,
And it's uncomfortable to talk about not using it with your own brothers who
grew up
on it, love using it, and be like, I have had more resistance from my own brothers about the movement than the white people that I've talked to, which I find very interesting. I find that very fascinating. It's like the most resistance is from my brothers, and white people go, you know what, that makes sense, and I'm not going to use it anymore.
Oh wow, they already using it.
They're already not using it. Yeah, I've talked to some white people about. We've had some debates.
No, but they were using it before.
They were using it before.
Before they could not use it, that means they was using it.
No, they was using it. Yeah, that's how the whole conversation came up in the first place, because they use it so casually. And I said, wait.
I don't think I ever hung out with nobody.
I'm like, you just threw out
that comfortable.
You just threw out the N-word like so comfortable. Like, why would you do that? And they say, well, what? It's like, everybody does it. Everybody uses it. It's like, you're cool. Like, that doesn't bother you. It's like, I know
exactly what you mean.
And I'm like, wait, how do you know it doesn't bother me? And I am cool. But why would you do that? Why would you say that? And you don't even, like, you threw it a word of hate. That's like, that's like saying I fuck your mother and being like, well, what's the problem? You're cool. Why would you be offended by it? But dude, it's like you just said, you fuck my mom. Like, that's not cool. Even though I'm cool, that's not cool. Why would you say that?
Right.
And it's the same thing. It's like, it's a word of hate that's put on my people, and you're not my people, and you threw that down just like so nonchalant, so matter of fact, without any projection on the consequences of what could happen, because you assume I'm cool. Like, to me, that's not cool.
I totally agree. Now, I've not really I do have another experience driving limos, actually, and I stopped in the middle of a job and refused to drive a well-known person, Christian. What's the guy's name? No. He's the dude that made the clothes and everything.
Christian Dior.
Yeah. It was him and the Timberland dude. From
the shoes?
Timbs. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I picked them up at a private airstrip. And they were just back there talking and was just throwing the word around. And so I pulled over. I was working for this Armenian group out here, driving limos for them. And I pulled over and got out and said, I'm not going to drive. I refuse to drive. So you guys send another driver over, and he can finish this shit. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
well, that's
I totally agree with you.
You got to the point to where it's like, wait a minute, enough is enough.
Right.
And this is
exactly.
not cool.
You know. And I might have just got off the phone.
Were they disrespecting you, or were they disrespecting you, or were they just throwing it out there, just
they
saying,
was
I got
talking,
this nigga work
they
for
knew,
me today?
No.
Oh.
No. You know, it was not direct, but they didn't respect the fact that I was even present. They went on with their conversation, and in turn was just throwing the N-word out like I was just a back of the neck, you know, in the limo. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, and it was right up here, coming down from on the 405, and I pulled over in Sherman Oaks, and I got out, and I said, I'm not driving y'all. Period. I don't even care. They can fire me, but I ain't driving y'all. You see? And I called the office, and they was like, we have to be somewhere, and I was like, I don't give a fuck. Excuse me. I don't give a fuck where you got to be.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, you know, it was that tone that they used, even though it wasn't directed at me, right? It was so disrespectful.
But you don't know that.
They could have been saying it.
You don't know that it wasn't directed at
right,
you
exactly.
because they see a black driver and then they say the N-word loud enough for the black driver to hear. That's not an accident in my world.
Exactly. I know what you mean.
That's not an accident.
So I totally agree with that part, you know, of the use of the N-word. You know what I mean? However, like you said, that's really it's a minute part, but it is a plus that we need to do as black people to eliminate that word from our vocabulary.
Yeah, I mean, talking about racism is uncomfortable for white people, but talking about like eliminating the N-word out of your culture is uncomfortable for black people. But I think the dialogue needs to happen. But I want to go further down this rabbit hole with you two brothers, but I got some more guests I want to get on. But can we pick this conversation up on the next podcast?
Absolutely. Yeah, right, just cool. Holler, you know.
Chris, where can we find you on the web, my brother?
Man, you can look me up, Chris Pleasant, on Facebook. I think C Pleasant on Instagram. That's it. I don't have anything coming up right now, but I'm working on another project, so I'm trying to do some writing right now. So
right on. D-Rod, where can we find you?
Well, basically, I'm into investing, so I'm looking at projects. You know, the team that I'm with, we're looking at viable projects to invest in.
Right. Can you flip this $5? I got 5 owed it.
Right on.
So real talk.
I'm the PodBrother, and you guys can find me at PodBrother.com. This has been fun. I told you we were going to have some fun, some laughs, and we were going to get real and heavy, and we did. So check me on PodBrother.com, and we'll be back with more guests, more talk, more real, more stuff. All right. Peace and love out.
Peace.
Peace.